From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 16th, 2019. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin is expected to select Benjamin Netanyahu to form a government for the 21st Knesset. Rivlin said today that most of the political parties he met with yesterday recommended Netanyahu. Some parties, like Labor and Meretz, recommended Benny Gantz. The Arab parties chose neither to endorse Netanyahu nor Gantz. The final decision will be announced by Rivlin tomorrow, Wednesday night. Meanwhile, Israel's Central Elections Committee did make an adjustment to their final tally released last week, and in fact, the United Torah Judaism Party did receive an additional Knesset seat at the expense of Likud, giving UTJ 8 seats, Likud 35. Which, although is the same number of seats as won by Benny Gantz's Blue and White, the numbers still favor Netanyahu, as he can easily form a strong coalition with right-wing and ultra-Orthodox parties. The only possible obstacle might be from Avigdor Lieberman's Israel Beitenu party, which has 5 seats. Lieberman did recommend Netanyahu to Rivlin, but is insisting that the new government uphold the Haredi draft bill that requires the ultra-Orthodox to serve in the IDF, which the ultra-Orthodox parties strongly oppose. Lieberman said yesterday, if we're forced to choose between giving up on the ultra-Orthodox draft law to remain in the coalition or sitting in the opposition, we will go to new elections. The Times of Israel later reported that UTJ said they too would go to new elections over the Haredi draft bill. Lieberman, meanwhile, met with Netanyahu, and the two agreed to sit down tomorrow for negotiations. Russian news agency Sputnik reports that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said he is willing to meet with Netanyahu with no preconditions. The report cites PA Foreign Minister Riyad al-Malki telling the news outlet that the Palestinians were ready to sit down with Israel, but that the invitation to do so must come from Russian President Vladimir Putin, citing al-Malki saying that Putin was the one who will create the best conditions for a meeting to take place and for a meeting to be successful. The U.S. coordinator for counterterrorism arrived in Israel today. Nathan Sales is in the country to attend the annual meeting of the U.S.-Israel Joint Counterterrorism Group, where the U.S. State Department said the United States and Israel will discuss the shared terrorist threats facing our two countries, including from Iran and Lebanese Hezbollah, and develop strategies for bolstering collaboration and cooperation in these critical areas. Today, Sales was given a tour of the Gaza border area, including a close look at a terror tunnel, and was briefed on the situation. He told Israeli officials, "I was amazed at the resources Hamas is investing in terror activity against Israel," noting that these are at the expense of improving day-to-day life for Gaza's residents. Activists of the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions campaign against Israel interrupted a welcome ceremony yesterday at Brown University. The Brown Daily Herald reported that BDS activists dropped leaflets from the balcony of the auditorium onto incoming freshmen gathered below and chanted, "Brown students voted yes on divest, and our complicity now." Last month, if you recall, undergrads at the school voted in favor of divesting from Israel, but the school's president, Christina Paxson, rejected the referendum, saying the endowment is not to be used to assert views on the contested social and political issues. And the student government at Cornell voted down an anti-Israel measure last week, albeit very narrowly. The Cornell Sun reported that the resolution proposed by the school's SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, urged Cornell to divest from companies that, quote, profit from the Israeli military occupation of Palestinian territories, unquote. It was rejected by the Student Assembly Thursday night, 14 in favor, 15 against, with 1 abstention. These votes also included a larger community vote of students, which was also very close. Back in February, Cornell President Martha Pollack wrote a letter to the school's SJP chapter rejecting any notion that Cornell would or could use its endowment for political action. The Paris Center for Peace and Innovation signed a memorandum of cooperation with the city of Chicago yesterday. Chemi Peres, son of the late Israeli president and Prime Minister Shimon Peres, signed the agreement with Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. It's for collaboration in areas of inclusive innovation and entrepreneurship. Emanuel said Peres believed in the transformative power of technology and innovation as a pathway to peace. And he said, "We are proud in Chicago to foster an environment that makes agreements like this possible." Well, as members of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where 11 people were murdered last year, are slowly healing, they are also trying to make the site of the synagogue, which is now surrounded by fencing, a little more uplifting. The synagogue is asking teenagers around the world to submit artwork to cover the fencing in a project called Hearts Together, the Art of Rebuilding. The art should reflect themes like love and unity. The organizers said the decorated fencing will reflect the strength and positivity that well-wishers shared with us in our darkest days. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, April the 16th at 7 o'clock, Cantor Laura Bresnik, Reverend B.D. Stork, and Dr. Hiba El-Khatib discuss how Judaism, Christianity, and Islam view the stranger. At 8, it's a look at Jonathan Safran Foer's New American Haggadah. At 9, it's an introduction to Passover, and then at 9:30, Mark Golub sits down with Rabbi Irving Yitz Greenberg about the meaning of Passover. At 10, it's your guide to the Hunger Seder from the Jewish Council for Public Affairs. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, Insight to Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 16th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.